How to financially analyze the girls that you're dating. Hang on, I gotta take a note. I went out for a run. That's almost sweaty. See the sweat? Yeah, that's it. I also mowed the yard. I've been a good boy today. That was an important one. That came up when I was running, because I took notes before. I'm like, so I remembered. Now I wrote it down. So now, the presentation I was going to give to you before is even going to be better. Here's the deal, guys. And this applies to women too, almost universally, but women do have worse finances than men. Women spend more money, they have more debts, and that's a fact. Like, this is a business card. This is a fossil. Oh, hey, check out this. This is a Smurf glass from the 80s. Do you remember those? Huh? Yeah. This is a whistle compass. That's north behind me. Anyway, those are facts, and the fact is that women have worse finances than men. I'm terribly sorry, it's just a fact. And if you don't like facts, again, Oprah's over there, and the Democrat Party will lie to you all you want. Now, the reason I want to put this video together, because I got a buddy. Actually, I got two buddies. And this one buddy in particular, though, broke up with his girlfriend. Both him and her are very nice people, just didn't work out that way. And now he's starting to date another gal. And he was telling me about it. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. First, well, she's a single mother. And it's like, okay, I don't think there's a lot of childless women in their 30s. Guy's almost 40. And then all of a sudden, she's working at a kind of a bad job. Not a great job, but for her age, she should be working something a little bit better, even with the horrible economy. And then, well, she's still got student debt, and it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And then he says, well, she's got a horse. And I'm like, no, you fucking idiot. No, it's the worst possible thing ever. You should date a woman that has herpes before you date a woman that has a horse. So, and the problem he's facing is that the selection is just not out. And I'm sure, ladies, the selection is just not out there for the men as well. But for the guys, he epitomized a problem that many of you young men are going to face, and that is, you'll be doing good. You'll be doing very good. You'll be making a lot of money. Well, I mean, not a lot of money. You'll just be well off. You'll be financially stable. Dude's got a house. Dude makes money. Guy's got a side business. He's got equity in it. I mean, it's like, now don't fuck this up. And the only thing that can fuck up that position where you are financially stable, you have a job, you have a side business, you have equity in your home, you're enjoying your life, now you finally have money and time to go travel maybe and live this world before you die, then you go and you marry. The only thing that can torpedo, or not marry, date, court, the only thing that could torpedo that success, and that is a girl with bad finances. Now, since I don't want you fucking up your lives, and I want you to live a good life, let's talk about how to financially analyze the finances of any of these girls that you're dating, okay? And it's going to take some provocative questions, but you got to realize what's writing on this. Let's say you scrimped and saved and clawed. You went through the dot-com recession. You went through the Asian currency crisis if you're older. You went through the Great Recession, the housing bubble. You've paid off. You see, you finally have this taste, this morsel of what it was like to be 20 and in 1947. And now you have... For once, you don't have to worry about your budget of ramen noodles. Maybe you could upgrade to Subway. Like, you've reached the fucking promised land. Don't fuck it up. All right? So, let us analyze, or let's talk about the different things that you got to look at when it comes to analyzing the finances of prospective girlfriends and wives. All right? In no particular order. 1, student loans. I understand if the girl is 25. Obviously, you just can't pay off loans. But if you're 30, 35, fucking 40, and you still got student loans, that's not only a big red flag, that's a deal breaker. Now, women can do this crazy thing to improve their situation, and that's pay off your fucking student loans. I know, it's crazy. Don't buy another pair of shoes, maybe pay off your loans. Because what you got to worry about on the back end, if she's 40 and still has student loans, when the fuck is she going to save up money to retire in the next 25 years? Right? So that's a big red flag. The older the woman is, the worse it is. So, forgive the 23-year-old kid that just graduated, obviously, but if you're more my age and the woman's in her 30s, she still has student loans, get the fuck out of Dodge. Related to that, those student loans, what was that money used to invest in? Was it an IT career? Was it an accountant? What was it? If it's some bullshit, typical touchy-feely leftist liberal arts bullcrap, that woman is not going to make the money to pay off her debts, let alone start saving up money. And guess who's going to have to make up the difference, the deficit? That's right, you! I've referred this many times to the engineering sucker husband, or the engineer liberal arts couple. There's always, you guys know him, there's that chemical engineer, he busted his ass off, studied a real discipline, didn't go to any parties. And then Tina from Edina, she comes out of nowhere, finds him with her degree in fucking social work or whatever, and she works her part-time gig. So the guy's bringing down $90K, she's bringing down like maybe $30K, but then she spends $60K, but claims because she has a job and a degree that she's a independent woman. No, you're not. Right? So you gotta look out for that. That's not debt today. That's not spending that you're gonna have to bail her out with. That's debt in the future, where it's like, well, you make 90 and why are you getting... Just once I wish those engineers would grow a unit and say, fuck you. You go study calculus. You go study trig. You go study molar conversions. Then we'll talk about who gets whose money. But they won't. Because you're just too addicted to... Another one, very common with the ladies, credit card debts. All right, how many, how much? Like in terms of what's the balance, right? And you wanna know this shit, guys. This is where you got to get personally involved with it. You got to say, hey, how many credit cards you got? What kind of credit cards do you have? What's the balance? What's the debt on all of them? And they'll say, well, that's none of your business. If they say that, hey, bye, see ya, toodles. That's, you too could say toodles. It's not. I don't have the trademark on it. Just say toodles, and it's Actually, it was my dad, I think. And I think he got it from his dad, so it was my grandfather that does the toodles. But when you find, if the girl says, no, I'm not telling you, you say toodles. All right? You're not hooking up with that. That's a sinking ship. Right? And let me tell you something, gentlemen. Women, young women especially, have tons of credit card debts. You ever go to the malls? You ever see what's there? Do you see, like, Stanley tools? Do you see, auto shops? Do you see something that is productive and practical? No, it's crap that women buy. Now, how do they afford it even though they make only 75% of what we do? Isn't that weird? We make more, but there are less stores for us to spend our money. Oh, that's it. The girls spend their money and our money there. Oh, and what did we buy? We bought maxi dresses that are in style this year, but will be thrown out and donated to third world countries the next. So, you gotta look at the credit card. Very bad. And, yeah, man, just... look out for that. Mortgage. Sometimes the women will be older and they will have made a wise decision, and at least at the time, and they got a house. That's not a bad sign necessarily, but if it's a house they can't afford and their mortgage payment is way more, or 60-70% of their take-home pay, you got issues. So you got to look out for that, especially with the divorced women that get the house in the settlement and then take over the mortgage, but their engineering husband with his $90,000 per year left, and now they got to finance this McMansion in the suburbs on their $30,000 part-time social worker pay. Benefits are killer, though. You got to look out for that. So you're always, what you're trying to do, very much like what I did in banking, you're trying to figure out how much they got to pay in debts versus their income. And it should become pretty clear with some basic mathematics whether or not she's like saving up money, or whether she's just barely treading water, or whether she's losing money and is guaranteed to file for bankruptcy later, or have you bail her out. Car payment. Very important. I like Audi TTs. The Audi TTs are so nice. Okay, the better the car, the worse her finances. And that just doesn't apply to women. That applies to everybody, all right? I'm not joking. When I worked in banking, there were only two people, two, in 15 years, two guys that had fancy cars that could actually afford them. Everybody else, maybe 2,000 other applicants and loans I looked at, the guys with the Beamers, it was Beamers and Mercedes and compressors and all that other shit, leased or borrowed. They didn't own, and they were always treading water. They were just barely making it. So what you got to do is realize that unless the girl's like a doctor or a surgeon, this is why it's important you ask her what her career is. So like she's a high-end computer networking IT chick, she's a programmer, something like that. Yeah, then that car's probably legit. She could probably afford that. But if she's like working in, what is it? Let's get out of the public sector realm. She's an assistant marketing specialist, or, you know, any one of these other faux private sector jobs, or it's just a glorified secretary, and she's driving around a car that's better than yours, no, get the fuck out of Dodge, right? There's a car payment there that's probably more than your rent, and I have ran into that. I've seen that where, like, there were women spending more on their cars than I was in rent. Of course, I live very cheaply, but hey, man, just, you know, this is money going out, and they're looking for someone. Daddy's probably cut them off. Hey, look, here comes a sucker. I mean, you're the white knight. You're the hero. Ferris Bueller, you're my hero. Another one. An expensive apartment or a high-end condo. All right. There was a study that came out, I think it was on Return of Kings. It showed that women love, the younger ones, love to live in the most expensive areas. So where all the action is, it's a party. Have flirtinis and martini nights and women's night. Just go out and party. That puts their car payment to shame, right? If their shit, it depends on the town you live in. But I ran into girls blowing twice on their rent than what I was spending on my mortgage. You know what? Yeah, they were really nice apartments. They were really nice condos. And these girls really weren't saving up any money, right? So there, and then what's worse with that is that's what they grow accustomed to. And so you gotta, like, well, if there's two of you, now you gotta get a place that's twice as big to house all of her fucking shit. And then maybe have your little room. And then, we need this, we need that. So if you see a gal living in a high-end apartment, I'd like to give a number, but again, because if I say, I think you're a fool for spending more than $1,000 a month on a one-bedroom apartment. I really do. But that's Minneapolis. That's a steal in New York or San Francisco. And that's usury if you're living in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So it really does depend. But basically, you'll know. If she's got to have granite countertops and heated indoor parking, that's an issue here in Minneapolis, obviously. You gotta look out for that. You gotta say, so always compare what's coming in with their salary, as she's like, working as a, I don't know, fucking assistant bank teller, and spends more on rent or your mortgage than you do when you're like an auto mechanic. So, alright, two final things. One, this doesn't have to do with the girl, but this is if you're going to start looking at marriage and things like that. You have to look at their parents' finances as well, okay? Because, I know this is a shocker, previous generations weren't exactly all that great with their money. And even though they don't have, the girls that you're looking at don't have a legal obligation to support their family, most of them out of guilt and familial connection will. And if you're going to look long-term at dating this girl or getting married, you got to say, whoa. All right, if we get married, that's going to be one economic unit. In the eyes of the law, joint assets, joint bank accounts, all that other shit. And now we're bailing out your parents for their complete mismanagement of their finances? No fucking way, all right? Again, it would be horrible. You script, you save, you claw, you finally fucking make it. Now you can enjoy life. Then you hook up with a girl who has great finances, by the way, but her parents completely drain her of it. You gotta find out about the parents. And you also should find out about the parents for other reasons as well. Psychological, do you drive with them, stuff like that. So yeah, look to see, all right, hey, your mom and dad got to eat cat food. You going to bail them out? Well, hold it. Their cat food, or you getting them a Subway sandwich, that's my sushi. No. They had their shot. Now it's us. It's our turn. So you got to look out for that too. Finally. Horses. I was shocked my buddy didn't know. Any girl with horses. I'll write a whole fucking chapter on horses. Matter of fact, I think I did in Bachelor Pad Economics. You do not ever date a woman that has or had horses. Never. Right? They are the worst investment. They're not an investment. They are the worst money drain I've ever seen. You might as well get a boat or a rickety old classic car to rebuild, or take some money and pour gasoline on it and light it up, all right? Do not ever date a girl with horses. Not just for the financial aspect, but women have this weird psychopathicness about horses. They do have a mental problem with horses. Not all of them, but like the vast majority of them I've seen do. They become emotionally attached way more than like a freaking dog or a cat. They will bleed their finances dry. They will harm themselves to save that horse. I don't know why. I don't care why. I've given up trying to figure out the whys. I just accept what is. You never, ever, 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 I don't care if she's got $1 million in the bank and she's an IT computer geek. The horse is the trump card. That trumps it all. That just washes away every good thing that could ever possibly happen. So, yeah, stay away from horses, not just for the finances, but for the emotional, psychological garbage and baggage you're going to have to deal with later. Anyway, the final thing you got to do, you got to go to TransUnion MySmartMove, right? And this is not a plug for them. But you say, well, why MySmartMove? Well, MySmartMove is a tenant screening service. You said, well, I don't have rental property. I don't have it. Why would you're doing a background check on your girlfriend. They'll say, I'm going to send this to you. You're going to fill it out. I want to see your finances. Right? This is not a joke. This is what it is. It's a sad testament to just how bad women have managed their finances. And women, I would say, do this to men too, because as much as I slam on women, I only do so because it's mostly my listenership that wants to date women. We don't want to date guys. But women should do this too. You should always get the credit and the background check on your significant other, especially before you get married. And the cheapest, most efficient, fast way is MySmartMove, which is, again, subsidiary of TransUnion. Shows you their background check and their criminal, or their credit check and their criminal, right? And you'll see how much lines of credit they got, what the credit score is, and all that other stuff. And, and you may say, well, that's kind of violating privacy. That's kind of like a prenup. Bull fucking shit. If you busted your ass off for 30 years, 40 years, maybe if you're older, 50 years, younger, 20 years, you're starting to make it, you're finally about to enjoy life, you cannot risk getting financially hooked up with a financial liability that will torpedo and fuck up the whole mess. You can't. You owe yourself, but you got to have self-respect to do that. And women, I know, for the guys, I know you'd say, well, I trust her. You know, I really do trust her. No, they lie. They lie. They lie. Ask any guy who's been through the financial ringer and ended up finding out about credit cards, and ask anyone. Ask anyone. All right? You have got to get their credit report. And a gal that has that, she'll be like, okay, you know what? You're right. Don't you trust me? No, I don't. I don't trust you. And more importantly, forget the trust. I really like what I did. I got this far and I ain't fucking it up. I ain't ever going back. I ain't making another mistake. So that's it, guys. That's how you got to analyze their finances. There's other things you could do, like watch spending habits, you know, how much do they spend here, whatever, stuff like that. But those are your key sources of debt, your key financial analytics metrics you got to look out for. And then if things are about to get serious, you think you got to get that MySmartMove. So actually, if TransUnion could make billions just saying, check my girlfriend's credit.com or something like that. Oh, they get caught. The hell would be caught. So anyway, that's all we got. And hey, buy the book, Bachelor Pad Economics. This is a kind of a more unique topic. It's not necessarily directly advising this. But really, if you've worked this hard and you're starting to see some yield, some produce from your labor and your hard work and your suffering and toiling, make sure you don't squander it by goofing up down the road. Get that book, Bachelor Pad Economics, put yourself in a good position. That's all we got. Toodles.